Howdy, this is Doug over at Red Chip Poker, and I wanted to answer a question that one of our Red Chippers asked. He is in a live 1-2 game, and it starts out with 4 or 5 people limping into the pot pre-flop, and he has position. He does not mention his holdings throughout this question, so I'm going to assume that it's just kind of garbage that didn't fit with the board. So that's just going to be my assumption in here. He doesn't mention what he had, and he limped pre-flop. So when I look at a question like this, the first thing I see is that he's just limping along on the button, and if I'm ever limping, it will be on the button, but for the most part, I'm just never limping. It makes it harder to represent anything on the flop. You're going to often end up way too many people to the flop, and it just makes it harder for you to get position later if you limp. So I just really don't like it at all. But he limped on the button here, and now the flop comes out Queen 2-9 with 2 spades, and an early position person bet into these 4 or 5 people. I'm going to give that a little bit of respect. Okay, the early position, after it being a limped pot, leads out here, I'm guessing he's got himself a little bit of a hand. A queen maybe, with a decent kicker, who knows. But our cards are apparently garbage, and we just float with the idea of taking it later. And I'm just not going to start out bluffing at a pot like this. I don't think this is such a great opportunity that I'm going to try this with any 2 cards. But that's what he's trying here. So let's go see what it says down here. Here, villain can put hero on a queen with a better kicker than villains and any 2 spades. And I think that is a very reasonable estimation that the early position will put us on. Okay, great. Now, the villain makes the same bet on the turn when there's kind of a brick 7. And our hero here says that makes him think that villain has a queen and that he's not too proud of his kicker. And so now the question is, can I still call to bluff spades when it comes out on the river? Well, you can. I'm really not a fan of floating 2 streets with the hope of being able to pull a 1-2 player off of top pair on the river. I just don't see that as a winning play. If you had some backup equity here, then maybe you can consider it, but just looking for a place to bluff here, I would have given this up probably pre-flop. So calling twice just doesn't seem like it's going to be a winning play for you. Second, should I re-raise him to represent a queen with a better kicker? And then he's looking ahead and says, if the villain does call, should I bet again on the river, on a spade, or on a brick? So I just don't like the float here. Now, maybe if you've got yourself like 10 jack or a couple of spades or something like that, then you might start getting creative here. But you haven't said what your hole cards are, so my guess is you don't have any equity and you're just looking for a way to bluff and take this one down. You could have folded on the flop for the $2 limp, and I think that's going to be probably your most profitable play here. Okay, now the river comes and it's a brick, it's a non-spade. The villain checks, so that's good for us, and the hero bets 2/3 pot. What would villain put hero on? A busted flush or a queen with a better kicker? And it's not clear to me what villain's going to think. I think villain probably has himself a weak queen here, and am I really going to float 2 streets and then a 2/3 pot bet to try and find out if I can take him off of it. No. Just not going to happen. Villain's probably going to get sticky here with his top pair queens because nothing has really happened that devalues that queen that he probably has. So I think he's going to call you. Alright, so my basics here is don't go looking for trouble. You probably should have folded pre, probably should have folded on every street after that. Alright, if you like this kind of thing, come on over to the Red Chip Poker Forums and subscribe here on YouTube.